Hello, welcome to Path to Wellness. I'm Miriam, and today I'm going to talk to you about breastfeeding. So I've been breastfeeding on and off for over 7 years. I have 3 girls and I've breastfed them all. I'm still breastfeeding my youngest. So my first 2 I breastfed over until they were over 2 years old. And so I've had quite a bit of experience breastfeeding, and one of the things that I'm very passionate about is promoting breastfeeding and helping give the support to women out there who need that support. Because I think the reason why some women fail to breastfeed or don't meet their breastfeeding goals or have very low breastfeeding goals are because they do not have the support that they need and they want. And unfortunately, I cannot provide the support that you really deserve to have. Like, I can't be bringing you meals, and I can't be helping watch your older kids while you're getting to breastfeed your new baby. And so I just can't do that. And the other thing is that I am not a lactation consultant. I'm not even a Leche League leader. I am just a regular mom. So anything that I say, like, you need to listen to your own tuition and take what you can away from here and leave the rest. I have attended Leche League meetings for years, and so I've gleaned a lot of information from different moms and heard a lot of moms' different stories. For example, I did not have mastitis until my 3rd baby, and I knew what to do because moms had been talking about mastitis at Leche League meetings in the past. And so I just needed to grab my breastfeeding book, The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding, and just open it up to mastitis and refresh my memory. And I'm like, yep, that's what I have. And I read that I should rest as much as I could and drink lots of fluids and keep eating. And I did all that. And I also did some of the other things that they said to do in the book. And I managed to kick that mastitis butt. So I managed to kick the mastitis without using antibiotics because I caught it really early before it got bad. I want to start with talking about things that we can do to improve breastfeeding. Now, there's not that much that you can physically do to get your body ready to breastfeed. As far as, like, there's nothing, like, some people say you need to, like, toughen up your nipples or something like that. And I'm like, no. That's just ridiculous. But one of the things that you can do is you can provide your body with the best nutrition possible. And this starts before you're pregnant. And you are just eating the best you can throughout your pregnancy. Sometimes it's hard to eat a nutritious diet because of morning sickness and feeling terrible and cravings. I understand that. My 3rd pregnancy, I really wanted to eat healthy, but I really didn't eat that good. I ate the healthiest during my 2nd pregnancy. And then after the baby is born, you have that little window of time that's so, like, sacred, that as long as there's no emergency going on, you should just take that baby and put it to your breast and just let that baby start rooting around on your breast and finding that nipple, and your breastfeeding journey, your breastfeeding relationship begins then. And it's so beautiful. Like, one of my favorite things is breastfeeding a little newborn baby. I miss it. Like, it's totally different than breastfeeding a toddler. So one of the tips that I have for you is to get involved in either a breastfeeding class or a breastfeeding support group while you're pregnant. So I recommend that you join a Leche League group while you're pregnant so that you can start forming relationships and start getting tips. And also you will get to know your Leche League leaders, and so you'll feel more comfortable reaching out to them in those early days of breastfeeding. Another thing that helps is to ask the lactation consultant at the hospital Or if you have a home birth, ask a lactation consultant to come early on, like the first day. Sometimes a lactation consultant doesn't come until like the next day or way later, and sometimes you have like enormous issues, and it's better to catch things right off the bat. So don't be afraid to ask for help. The other tip that I have for you is to get a book on breastfeeding, such as The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding or another book from La Leche League. They have like the best books on breastfeeding. I've read The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding. I still keep that book. It's just valuable. It's easy, really easy to read. It covers stuff from newborn on up to toddlerhood, and just overall it's great because it has a troubleshooting section in the back and with any issues that might arise, and it talks about the good, sweet parts of breastfeeding as well as the issues that you may or may not have. So another thing is just to be confident and to be relaxed when you breastfeed. So one of the things that hinders a lot of women is feeling really stressed out while breastfeeding, and that can sometimes come because you're in pain after birth, and that it can be painful to even just hold your baby. So I recommend just staying on those pain meds if you are prescribed some for healing after birth. Try some herbal tinctures or some other natural methods for pain control. If you are having cramping and stuff after birth, that's going to really help your you relax and bond with your baby through breastfeeding. Another thing that I want to just say about is that it's important to exclusively breastfeed your baby until at least 6 months of age. Some of my babies, I did that up until 6 months. Some I did like 8 months until I introduced anything besides breast milk. So one of the things that research is showing is that babies' digestive systems are not ready for food before 6 months of age, like not at all. So hold off. If your 5-month baby is grabbing food off your plate and stuffing it in their mouth and chewing and swallowing, then by all means, like, just let them. But overall, you should never be trying to feed your baby earlier, unless if you have the recommendation of your pediatrician or lactation consultant or something for a specific reason. I want to talk now about breastfeeding a toddler, since I've been breastfeeding toddlers. One of the things I want to talk about in this one is boundaries. Now, when you switch from your baby's being exclusively breastfed and then you start introducing solids, and for my babies, it's not until they're about 15 months old that they really start taking off with the solids, and it becomes a substantial part of their diet, and their caloric needs are more than what my breast milk can offer. So I don't really start tapering down until about that time, you know? So then I might, around 18 months, start setting limits with breastfeeding. And sometimes it happens earlier, but it's just as easy as saying 1 minute, wait 1 minute, and then you can nurse. And it's important to set these boundaries because you are teaching your baby boundaries in relationships, and this is so important. If you are uncomfortable with something in the breastfeeding relationship you have with your baby, you need to let your baby know. For me, it's one breast at a time. My baby can nurse on one breast. They can't play with the other breast while nursing because that's just way too much for me. So I let them know that. I will just unclip my bra on one side and nurse them, and if they try to reach inside the other cup, I'm like, nope, and I clamp my arm and I say only one breast at a time, and that's all you get. I'm learning to set those boundaries with my child before they get a lot older, because I will have to be setting boundaries all the time. Maybe another boundary is, no, you can't pinch or scratch or hit mama. Now little babies will, to get your milk going, they will sometimes like kind of beat on your breast, but you'll know the difference between beating or squeezing your breast versus like hitting, you know? So there is a difference there. So don't be afraid to set those boundaries, because you're a person too. There are two people in a breastfeeding relationship, the baby and the mother. So it's important that you continue that breastfeeding relationship with both of you putting input in it, and that you're not breastfeeding your baby long after you're done breastfeeding. Like, you don't want to feel over it and be only breastfeeding because your baby wants to, and you don't want to, and it makes your skin crawl and you don't like it anymore. Like, that is not nice. It's not nice to you. Like, you deserve way much more. Your baby deserves way much more. Your baby deserves a mother who will set boundaries in their relationship. Yes, that baby or that toddler may cry, may scream, may throw a fit, but if you keep that boundary firm, then they will learn to take that boundary. They may try to test it and try to push it back, but overall you're gonna have a healthy relationship. And I've done that with all three of my girls, where I've set boundaries, and later it might just be like, no, you have to wait, or you can't nurse. And then that kind of slowly goes into weaning, where you might say, no, we're not going to nurse out in public. And you may nurse that baby for months and months, or a year past, you know, when you used to nurse in public. But you might just draw a line and be like, we're not going to nurse in public anymore, or we're only going to nurse at night, or we're not going to nurse at night, or we're not going to nurse until the sun comes up. So it's important, if you feel a need to cut back on nursing and stuff, to do that. Once a baby is on solids and headed towards that way, yes, it is fine by all means to cut back on those nursings if you wish to. But again, you do not have to. It is perfectly reasonable to let that baby breastfeed night and day, every 2 hours, round the clock, if that is fine for you. Another thing that's very important is to take care of your needs. A lot of women burn out on breastfeeding because their nutritional needs are not being met. They are depleted from a taxing pregnancy, and they have not replenished their body's needs. So it is important to be on the right supplements and the right foods, and to be getting the rest you need and getting a lot more sleep than a non-breastfeeding mother gets. So I hope that you feel encouraged by this, and I hope that you enjoy this video. Give it a thumbs up. Be sure to comment below with any other breastfeeding questions, or if you would like to see a more targeted video on a specific issue or specific subtopic of breastfeeding. I post videos on all kinds of things like essential oils and nutrition and grocery hauls and food and organization. So be sure to subscribe. Thank you. Bye.